Hello, friends. Hi, it's Melanie here from Stamp with Melanie. Thanks for joining in on this Friday evening. We're going to get started here in just a minute. I want to make sure. All right. Sure. Okay. All right. All right. I think we are good to go. So thank you so much for joining. Before we get started, I wanted to share with you an announcement that Stampin' Up! Made late this afternoon about an upcoming sale. And here it is. It's the upcoming seasonal sale. It's November 14th through 16th, so Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday of next week. And it applies to products that are in the annual catalog. So you get 10% off of all ribbons and trims, 15% off of all inks. They are excluding the ink family bundles, and 20% off of all papers. And papers includes cardstock and designer series paper, all paper products. So this is a good time to pull out that annual catalog, take a look at your stash, see what you need to stock up on, because 20% off of cardstock is a good deal in my book. I plan to stock up on a lot of things that are getting low at this time of the year. So that's next Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And if you are local to me and watching this, I will be placing an order early on Tuesday, the 14th, and I will be expediting that order. So it should be back to me by Thursday or Friday. So if there's anything you want to add on to that order, just let me know. Get in touch with me before Tuesday, and I'll be happy to add your items to my order. Okay, now let's get busy. Tonight I have a really fun card project for you. This is called a 3-in-1 card. Some of you may have seen these before. They are so fun to make, and each one is unique. So I'm going to start out with 2 sheets of shaded spruce cardstock. And we're going to cut these down for our card bases. So what I'm going to do first, let me show you a little tip that I use for cutting 2 card bases at one time. I'm going to line my paper up at the 4 1/4 inch mark, and I'm going to score down the center. I'm going to turn, half turn, and line it up at the 5 1/2 inch mark. And this time I'm going to cut. So now I have 2 card bases that are ready to use. And since I need 3 for tonight's project, I'm going to do 1 more sheet, and then I'll have an extra card base that I can use at another time. So first I line up at 4 1/4 and score, and then turn, line up at 5 1/2 and cut. All right, everything else I've already pre-cut. Next thing I pre-cut is 3 pieces of the distressed gold cardstock. This is one of my favorites. I use it a lot, especially this time of the year. It is back in stock now. And I cut 3 pieces at 5 1/4 by 4 inches. Then I took 3 pieces of designer series paper, and you want these to kind of coordinate. So I pulled them all from the same paper pack, and these are the 3 that I chose. I don't think it matters. Yeah, we want that one to go that way. And these are pieces from the Joy of Christmas paper pack. And I've cut 3 pieces at 5 inches by 3 3/4 inches. Now what you want to do is stack these together in one stack so it looks like one. pull out your paper trimmer, and you're going to cut them into 3 pieces. It does not matter how you cut them. As long as you keep them stacked together, this technique will work. You could cut them like this, like a V. You could cut a triangle here and then a triangle down here, which is what I'm going to do. Or you could cut them any way you want. But what I'm going to do, stack them up. And like I said, it doesn't matter where you cut them. You don't have to follow any kind of measurements. You just want to make sure they're all stacked together. So I'm going to cut my first stack, make my first cut rather. And you might need to go through this twice to get through the whole stack. Okay, so I can set these aside. Now this is what I have remaining. And I'm going to cut these, let's say like that. Okay, that's all the cutting you need to do. So I'm going to set aside my paper trimmer. Now I have 3 stacks of paper like this. And lined up, you can see they go back together. That's what we started out with. So I want to take 1 piece from each stack. So I'll lay these out like this. And now I'm going to take 1 piece from each of the other stacks and line them up with them, but matching them up with a different pattern. So on this one, I don't have any of the floral pattern at the one on the right, so I'll stick that one there. This needs a red, and this needs the music notes. Okay, so this is my layout for my 3 cards. I'm going to set these aside and bring in one of those pieces of the gold, the distressed gold. Now, when I do this technique, I like to use my Tombow, my multi-purpose glue. The reason being is when you use the liquid glue, you have a little bit of time to move your paper around before it starts to adhere. So I'm going to put this one and line it up. And actually what I should have done is lay them out on the page before I put glue down the first time. So let's just do this. Because you want to have a slight gap between each of your pieces. Let me get this out of here so I can move up further. Okay, so you can see this is the look we're going to go for on the gold. Okay, so now I'm going to grab my floral piece. I'll add some liquid glue on here. Add it to the bottom, and again, I have some wiggle room before the glue starts to adhere to the paper, so I can shift it around if I need to. Okay, that looks pretty good. And one more. It just so happened that the music notes on this page is the flip side of the red checked page. So it throws you a little bit when you're looking at it and you're gluing them down thinking, why did I cut 2 of those? Well, it's because it's the other side. All right, so there's our first one. Set that aside. Grab in the next. Here's our mat. Here are 3 colors, 3 pieces of paper. You can use this with any coordinating designer series paper. I did a set of these with the All About Autumn paper, and I never got to share them with you because that paper never stuck around long enough before it was sold out again. Okay, and then here's our last piece on this one. So we can kind of get an idea of what our layout's going to look like. And now I can start to glue. And my next piece. Excuse me. Hang on a second. All right, and then one more piece on this one. Okay, there's our second one. Now for number 3. Like I said, I like to just lay them in place first before I start to glue, so I can see what my end result is going to look like. You may have seen this shared by other demonstrators. It's a pretty popular layout. I know I have not shared it previously, though. And our last piece to glue into place. And we are set. All right. So the next thing we're going to do is I'm going to grab my card bases and we're just going to add them to the base. And you can see these cards come together really quickly. I think the hardest part is to decide the layout, the 3 pieces of designer series paper that you're going to use. At least that's the hardest part for me. After that, it just goes together very quickly. Okay, I'm going to switch over to Stampin' Seal now just to add these to the card, to my card base. Okay. There's 2, and the third. What I like the most about them is there are no measurements for cutting the paper. You can be as creative as you want to be. Okay, now we need to add a greeting to these. So what I chose earlier, and I already did the die cutting, is I cut 3 labels from the Labels Aglow die set. And I decided to go with the Merry Christmas stamp from the Brightest Glow stamp set. And both of these dies, Labels Aglow dies, and the Brightest Glow stamp set are from the annual catalog. And I'm going to grab my Cherry Cobbler ink. I don't use Cherry Cobbler very often, but I do use it around the holidays. I think it's very rich looking. So you'll see me pull it out more around the holidays than at any other time of the year. Let me just get my little hanging chads out of my dies. Okay. There's one. I think this is a really elegant script on this Merry Christmas too. I think it's really, really pretty. Two. Grab a third one. Okay. I'm going to grab some dimensionals to adhere those. See, we even had minimal stamping with this one. Grab the dimensionals. Now you can add any other bows, embellishments, or anything like that that you want. Also, with this nice big label, say you didn't like the way your centers all met here, it'll cover it right up. And when we're done, you're going to have 3 very unique, similar but different Christmas cards that are ready to send. So there's 2. One more. Okay, now we don't want to leave our insides unfinished. So what I have is 3 pieces of basic white cardstock and 3 strips of the red buffalo check. And I'm just going to add this at the bottom. You can add another sentiment to the inside if you want. I tend to leave mine blank. And maybe when I use them, I'll stamp it then. Sometimes I do, sometimes I just leave them blank. Okay, now we're ready to put these on the insides of our cards. And you can see this is a great way to use up your scraps of your designer series paper and make 3 really easy but pretty cards at the same time. And one more. Okay, here's our 3 cards from this evening. Now, earlier today, when I was experimenting, I made 3 more, very similar, except for I used Christmas Classics and the Modern Label Punch for my sentiment. And the inside, I stamped evergreen boughs across the bottom. So these are the ones I made earlier today, but I used the exact same paper. These are the ones from tonight. So there you have it. I hope that you will try the 3-in-1 card technique. And if you do, share your cards on my on the post for this video. And who knows, I may be giving something away to those who participate. All right. Thanks very much for watching this evening. Have a great weekend, and we will see you again soon. Bye now.